Okay, welcome to the fourth of our Skill Builder series. You've been following along, then the first one where we did either side of the seams horizontally and vertically. The second one we did a crosshatch where we were just going through diagonally both ways through the corner of the squares. And then for our third one we combined both of those patterns together. This time we are doing the crosshatch, but we're going smaller. So first of all you're marking your diagonals for your big squares. Slight technical hitch, I've done that. But then the gap between those are 3 inches. So I've gone halfway through, so every 1.5 inches from those lines I've drawn another line, just lining that up with that one. And you're going to do that in both directions. By doing your big ones first, it just makes it easier to mark out your squares. There we go, just it's better. So I'm using the line on my ruler to the edge of my ruler. I know that will give me 1.5. So just checking that I've got all my lines in. Just come back round this way. Remarking those just so I can see the line. There we go. So now that's all marked, I can pin it together just to hold it all in place till I go to the machine. So I've used a washable marker, it's a quilt marker pen, and these lines will wash out, so whatever you're using, just make sure you check it and that it does exactly what it says. So this is one that I've used. On many occasions, so I know that it does wash out. Nothing worse than marking out your quilt and then having the lines not washing out. Do check as well for different types of fabric, because how the ink reacts with that can make a difference too. There we go, just one more pin to go in, I think. There we are. So now we can take it to the machine and start our quilting. Okay, so I've come to the machine, had to set it up, just get the thread through from the bottom. To put a different colour thread in, and I'm going to start in the centre diagonally. I'm going to take that pin out. Remember, you're taking your pins up as you go so they don't get in the way, and you're going to be directing on the first lot of diagonals that go through the corners. Just going to make sure the stitching goes through the join. So, and then the next one, you're still in the same square. Now the trick of this is keep watching where you're going rather than where your needle is. It allows you to keep a glimpse of where your line is, and you can keep the machine lined up. So make sure you need your walking foot on. The stitch length is around about 3. It's just under on this one. Just take your time and enjoy the process. So you'll notice that for each round, coming back to the beginning, when you're doing a bigger quilt, this is just going to help that there is no, your fabric's going to shift, but by doing it this way, it's going to go in one direction, which will help prevent the tucks. Now what you can do if you want to find it easier, you can do your quilt, the lines that are on the diagonals going through the main diagonals going through the centre of the blocks first if you wish, and then come back and fill in the gaps in between. If you're doing a bigger quilt, that's a good idea just to help stabilise your quilt pieces. For the size that we're doing now, that's not such an issue. Making sure that's flat. There we are. So that's size done. I'm going to come back and do the diagonals going the other way. So by keeping an eye on where you're going rather than where you actually are, it helps you to stitch a straighter line. And just like happens when you're driving, you tend to steer towards where you're looking. So I'm always looking ahead at where I'm going. It gives me a glimpse of where the line's going. I can make sure for these ones that I'm heading towards the corner. Remember what you said about taking the pins out as you go, so you're not sewing over them. my hands, I'm just making sure that everything stays flat. And the reason that you're working from the centre out is that when it does move, you're smoothing it out to the edges, so don't get your wrinkles in the middle of your quilt. There we go. So that's all our lines going one way. So looking on the back, I can again check that I haven't missed any. I'm going to start in the centre and work my way out. Those of you of a certain age may remember the quilted dressing gowns. So this always reminds me of those, but they were quilted a lot closer than this. And now you can see the pattern starting to really show up. Go just a few more lines on this direction. I'm just going to come round this way and I'm going to do back towards this corner now. So this is quite a nice pattern to do on traditional quilts because it's what we associate, I think, with sort of going back to our younger days. Just a few more lines. that what you get from this series is that even if you just are using straight line quilting, there is still a lot of choice out there for you, and it can be very effective. Coming up soon, we'll be doing some more decorative patterns that you may enjoy as well. So I think this is the last one. Let's turn it over and check. Yep. And there you can see the pattern. That's just sort of how we imagine sort of the old quilts to be. So I hope you've enjoyed that. That's the fourth one. We'll be back very soon with our next stage.